Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving deep into a topic that impacts all of us. Preconceived opinions and how they lead to misguided judgments. Our brains are wired to make sense of the world around us, and sometimes that means taking shortcuts, but these shortcuts can lead us down a dangerous path of prejudice and unfair treatment. Let's get started. Stereotypes. We've all encountered them. They're like those overly simplistic stock characters in a bad play. Stereotypes try to squeeze an incredibly diverse group of people into a tiny limiting box based on some superficial characteristic. It could be based on race, religion, gender, nationality, or even the way someone dresses. But here's the thing, stereotypes are mental shortcuts that ignore individual complexity. They rob people of their individuality, reducing them to a single, often inaccurate trait. For instance, consider the stereotype that all teenagers are lazy and entitled. Now, picture a hardworking teenager who juggles school, a part-time job, and still finds time to volunteer in their community. This individual defies the stereotype, proving that judging an individual solely on their age is not only unfair, but also wildly inaccurate. Our brains love to be right. When we hold a belief, even if it's based on shaky ground, we tend to seek out information that confirms what we already think. This is called confirmation bias, and it's one of the most significant obstacles to objective thinking. Let's say you believe that people who live in big cities are rude. Every time you encounter a curt waiter or a pushy commuter, it reinforces your belief. But what about all the friendly people you encounter? Confirmation bias makes us selectively filter information, noticing what confirms our existing beliefs and ignoring evidence that contradicts them. If we go into a conversation already convinced that someone is untrustworthy or incompetent, we are less likely to listen to their perspective or give them the benefit of the doubt. We might even interpret their words and actions in a way that confirms our pre-existing negative bias, perpetuating a cycle of misunderstanding and prejudice. The world is a messy, complicated, and wonderfully diverse place, and to truly understand it, we need to embrace nuance. Preconceived opinions thrive on simplification. They flatten the richness of human experience into two-dimensional caricatures. To break free from these mental traps, we must develop our capacity for nuanced thinking. This means recognizing that people are complex individuals shaped by a multitude of factors: their upbringing, their experiences, their values, their beliefs. Nuance requires us to approach each person as an individual, with their own unique story and set of circumstances. When we embrace nuance, we open ourselves up to a world of understanding and empathy. We begin to see the humanity in people who are different from us, and we develop a more compassionate and inclusive worldview. We live in a world obsessed with appearances. From social media filters to carefully curated public personas, we are bombarded with images that emphasize the superficial. It's no wonder, then, that we often fall into the trap of judging others based on how they look. We make snap judgments about people's intelligence, trustworthiness, and character based on their clothing, hairstyles, tattoos, or body piercings. But here's the reality: appearances can be deceiving. Judging someone's worth solely on their outward appearance is like judging a book by its cover. We miss out on the rich tapestry of experiences, thoughts, and emotions that lie beneath the surface. Someone with a tough exterior might have a heart of gold. Someone who dresses unconventionally might be a brilliant artist or a gifted scientist. True beauty and worth are not skin deep. They reside in a person's character, their actions, and their contributions to the world. Misguided judgments based on preconceived opinions are not just harmless misunderstandings. They have very real and often devastating consequences. In the workplace, biases can lead to discrimination in hiring, promotions, and pay. Imagine a highly qualified woman being passed over for a promotion simply because of her gender, or a person of color being denied a job opportunity due to their race. These are not isolated incidents, but systemic problems rooted in prejudice and unconscious bias. Socially, preconceived opinions can lead to ostracism, bullying, and social isolation. Think about the teenager who is marginalized because of their sexual orientation or gender identity, or the elderly person who is dismissed as out of touch and irrelevant. These acts of exclusion and disrespect can have a profound impact on a person's self-esteem and mental well-being. In extreme cases, preconceived opinions can even fuel violence and hatred. It's a stark reminder that words have power and that unchecked prejudice can have deadly consequences. Okay, so we've talked about the problem, but what about solutions? The good news is that overcoming preconceived opinions is possible. It requires conscious effort, self-reflection, and a willingness to challenge our own beliefs. One powerful strategy is to actively question your assumptions. The next time you find yourself making a judgment about someone, stop and ask yourself, why do I think this way? Is my opinion based on facts, or am I relying on stereotypes? Another important step is to seek out diverse perspectives. Make a conscious effort to surround yourself with people from different backgrounds, cultures, and walks of life. Engage in meaningful conversations with people who hold different views than your own. Direct experience is also crucial. Instead of relying on second-hand information or stereotypes, make an effort to get to know people from different backgrounds on a personal level. Finally, practice empathy. Put yourself in someone else's shoes and try to see the world from their perspective. History is a treasure trove of cautionary tales. It's filled with examples of how preconceived opinions and prejudices have led to injustice, suffering, and even genocide. Take, for instance, the Salem witch trials, where innocent people, mostly women, were accused of witchcraft based on fear, superstition, and social pressure. Or consider the Holocaust, a horrifying example of how unchecked hatred and prejudice can lead to the systematic extermination of an entire group of people. The internment of Japanese Americans during World War II stands as a stark reminder of how fear and prejudice can lead to the unjust imprisonment of innocent citizens based solely on their ethnicity. These historical events, while painful to revisit, offer valuable lessons. By studying history, we can learn from the mistakes of the past and work towards creating a more just and equitable future. Let us strive to create a world where judgments are based on individual merit, not on preconceived notions. So where do we go from here? How do we move beyond simply acknowledging the problem of preconceived opinions and start building a more inclusive and equitable society? Education is key. We need to equip ourselves and future generations with the knowledge and skills to recognize and challenge prejudice. This includes teaching about the history of discrimination, the psychology of bias, and the importance of critical thinking. We also need to foster cultural exchange and understanding, creating opportunities for people from different backgrounds to interact, share their stories, and build relationships can help break down stereotypes and build empathy. It's about recognizing our shared humanity and celebrating our differences. Another crucial step is to implement inclusive policies and practices. This means creating systems in all areas of society, from education to employment to criminal justice, that are designed to ensure fairness and equality for all. As we've explored in this video, preconceived opinions are deeply ingrained in human psychology, but that doesn't mean we're powerless against them. By understanding the roots of prejudice, recognizing its harmful consequences, and actively working to challenge our own biases, we can create a more just and equitable world. Remember, overcoming prejudice is not a one-time achievement, but an ongoing process. Thank you for joining me on this journey of exploration and self-discovery. Let's commit to challenging preconceived opinions, embracing empathy, and building a world where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued for who they truly are.